Friday. Welcome to another episode of Crypto with English. Today's topic is going to be more or less centered around really the migration away, from legacy systems, charging forward into Web3 and blockchain. And we're now seeing this especially among governments and larger enterprises across the world. So I'd like to warmly introduce today's guest, Meike Krautscheid. She's the CEO and founder of blockXspace, based out of Dubai. And for anybody in this space, I think we can all agree that Dubai seems to be taking the center lead in the charge towards a more Web3 and blockchain based future. So, Micah, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Adam, for having me. I mean, what a wonderful introduction. This is amazing. Really, really wonderful.
Absolutely. And for starters, could you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I mean, already shortly before the live stream started or went online, we already had a little discussion about my
Oh,
past life.
sure.
I'm from the events industry, and also Adam told me that he also makes music. Uh,
I try to anyway, but yeah.
And I did actually played the upright bass and some other instruments, singing for many, many years professionally. And at some point, I wanted to do something which is scalable. And I thought, okay, I
Right.
want to do something which is connected with the internet, where I'm independent from the place where I am, and my more independent from my age, and so
Yeah.
forth. And I started studying economics besides running my music business. And during my economic studies, business studies, I actually went to startup events. And at one of these startup events, someone told me about the blockchain technology and digital assets, and it
Yeah.
actually blew my mind that you can send a penny around the globe within a second for a fraction of a cent. And the potential to bank the unbanked. Just today,
Yeah.
someone was writing me a message on LinkedIn and asking me for advice and help. Who was like a refugee in Pakistan, and he doesn't have access to a banking system.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has access to the internet, but how can he run a business without having a bank account? So this is a huge
Right.
problem for him, and I was giving some thoughts on this, but at the end, it's a hard thing not having a bank account. I
Yeah.
mean, what can you do without a bank account? Even here, I mean, everything runs through
Right.
banks currently, and when the bank says, "Oh no, we don't want to you to do this transfer. No, we don't give you the access to your money, which
Right.
we are storing," then it's a huge problem. And with the blockchain technology, many, many things can change. And the dependency on a trusted party is not needed to some extent.
Right.
Surely, the system still needs to act, or the participants in the network still needs to act according to law.
Right.
Uh, but like a centralized party doesn't need to say, okay, you can touch your money, you can send your money, at least to some extent. And
Right.
the blockchain technology, what I then discovered over the past few years, is that it's so versatile. You can use it in so many industries. Let's say it's a disruption of all industries in a form where data is involved, where value is involved. And so the blockchain is not only value, people connected with Bitcoin, for example, but also secure data, make data immutable. I really love the system as it shows like it's transparency, honesty, immutability. It's actually a pure system. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's not what people are doing with it
Right.
to a great extent. But I'm here to change this and bringing the real life use case and real life applications to all sorts of industries and governments.
Very well said. And, I think this recurring theme throughout, history and especially modern history is that whenever there is a major crisis, it seems like among the first systems to shut down are banks. So it seems like when bad things happen, when people are rushing to banks to, get their money out, more often than not, people can't. So, I think hence the, ever so much great importance of, cryptocurrency and blockchain based systems. So talk about your journey into creating this business of yours. How did you get there?
Well, first of all, I noticed beginning of 2020 that I became an expert in the field through my passion, dealing with the use cases, getting into the scene, globally connect to leaders in the space. And I was attending the cryptocurrency day in Cologne, where really the big companies there were
Yeah,
invited, and they had there were some experts speaking about blockchain and cryptos and so forth, and these experts couldn't respond to couldn't answer some of the questions of the audience, and I
yeah,
was like raising my hand and
yeah,
could easily respond to all these questions. And then like really big companies came up to me and say, okay, would you like to run some workshops at our company? Like
right.
a company that is producing the euro bills,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the cash money, for example. And so I knew, okay, I, I really know something. I can do this business. I can get into the space. But back then, I didn't actually had a team, and I was still, yeah, daily involved in the music business, and so it was kind of like hard getting into and sort of changing my business.
yeah.
But then it was in March 2020 where the COVID lockdown started. Really, from now to then, my music business broke, like from 100% to zero, because
Oh,
like the concerts, the gigs,
oh yeah.
even lessons were forbidden.
Right.
I couldn't do anything at the end,
Yeah,
and it was a huge shock because I never experienced anything like that. I was always healthy. I always had gigs and money and whatever
yeah,
was needed. And then from now to then, I was uncertain how well the future will be. But then I had actually the time to really dive into the blockchain space and fully focus on it. And at some point, I found a team, my ex team, let's say, from Smart Ledger.
yeah,
And I made really a lot of experiences with that company. I also am shareholder, like 20% or something.
yeah.
And and but I noticed I need to be able to control the quality of the venture myself.
Right.
I cannot. Yeah, it's sometimes hard to deal with other people, and you notice there are some wicked things going on, and you are not able to change it on your own.
Right.
You're not in the position or something. And uh, I, I mean, I'm in the blockchain space because I love this purity, transparency, and honesty, immutability. And then I notice that people in the space are acting like in the opposite way. So
Right.
I was like, okay, I obviously need to find my own venture. I also before I joined Smart Ledger, I wanted to find my own company. That's why I already had everything set up. Like I had the
Yeah.
logo, blockSpace, and had the website and so forth. But then I fully focused more or less. I also did some other jobs. On Smart Ledger and related things. Uh, but I made a lot of experiences, and now I have a huge network. I'm very much requested as a speaker around the world at conferences and so forth.
Yes.
And
And speak about the recent events you were just at as well. if you please.
The reason I was why I spoke, or when I'm invited to speak. I mean, there's coming up like the how's it called? Global investment. Global. Oh God, this is a long title. Something like.
Yeah, some of these conferences do have very, very long, lengthy titles.
Yes.
Even I find myself like, okay, what was that again?
Yeah, it's something like global digital asset investment summit or something.
Yeah, I think
2020.
yeah, it sounds about right.
2022 in Singapore, for example, where Brett Garlinghouse was announced as a speaker. And I
Okay.
mean, he's I mean, when I got into the crypto space, blockchain space, I was part of a member of the XRP community. I think from the crypto communities, XRP community is the most fun community. And I actually wrote a song for Brett Garlinghouse,
Oh,
kind of like a
okay.
crush. And
Do you have that posted anywhere? That song?
yes, it's actually on my inactive YouTube channel
Oh, okay.
still.
I'll have to check that out later.
But, yeah, and yeah, so meeting him is like a dream comes true. And I also see just a comment of Norma. Norma, I met at the last year in September at the European Blockchain Week in Ljubljana in Slovenia. She's an
Okay.
artist, and she's also in the like doing NFT related things. She gave a present to me, like physical art, when I left.
Right.
But I was after the event. I mean, you know, you do some party and having dinners and stuff.
Right.
And when I arrived in the early morning at the airport in I think Venice or something, or around or Trieste in Italy. I was so super tired that I lost the art piece that she gave to
Oh,
me. It's so sad.
yeah.
So then she said, I informed her, I'm so sorry that I lost it. And she said, okay, when I do it as an NFT, you'll receive one. So
Oh, there you go.
then I will still have the digital version.
Yeah. It's
And
quite a.
who's there?
I'm
Chimed,
sorry.
okay, Coley, and the comments. Oh, he's another digital artist. Two digital artists in the audience. Maybe also Maria is there. Would be another shout out there.
Oh yes, yeah, I see. Good stuff. Quite a journey, I have to say.
I mean,
Hear me?
flexibility is one of the keys to for success, I guess. So
Yeah.
there are some happenings, like a global lockdown, and what to do with it? Do you take
Right.
it as a punishment, let's say, in your life, or I mean, do you take it as a huge chance? And I
Right.
mean, it was hard work. It was not easy. And still
Right.
in a process. I mean, building up a company, it's hard work. I
Absolutely.
mean, my posts always look like fun because I also experience a lot of things, traveling around and stuff. But at the end, I'm like all around the clock. I can work, you know, and it takes time. It also took time building up the music business,
Oh yeah.
and getting to on certain levels where you play for the big players, let's say, and
Yeah.
receive a certain amount of money per gig. And I know that also here it takes time to develop the applications, to make the contracts with business partners, to get out there, to be in a negotiation and conversations with potential clients, and building up the relationship, building up the trust, showing I'm not only talking, I'm also actually doing these things.
Right.
Um, yeah, yeah. So that's
Wow,
how.
that is awesome. And how did you end up making your way to the UAE? Certainly there's no shortage of great talent and great projects coming out there at the moment. So and I think for anybody doing any type of major venture, especially in entrepreneurship and in blockchain, there's always a lot of peculiar, very special events that happen along the way. to say the very least. And sometimes, you may be in one place and you end up going other places where you never probably expect or conceive of going to, to begin with. So, yeah, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, speaking about UAE and Dubai, I went there for the very first time in March this year. March this
Right.
year, it was planned that I speak at 3 events or so, 3 conferences. I was invited there to speak. And when I went there, I knew kind of like nobody there. But at the end, I was staying like 1 month there,
Yeah.
speaking at 9 events. Were invited to 30 events. I was
Yeah.
on 5 yacht tours or yacht parties, and even someone I mean, I had my birthday also in the middle of the month in March, and someone booked a yacht for me. Uh, uh,
Wow.
uh, I could invite 20 people. They organized a buffet, music, drinks, everything, even balloons and everything for
Yeah.
me. And made a party with 20 people on a yacht. It is insane, and I
Yeah.
knew nobody before I got there. And at the end, I felt like it's like a family. I really felt like a family. It was like a family feeling there. Also, I mean, you never, you'll will never be alone. There will always be some exciting activities, some networking parties, some networking events, 3 major blockchain events on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And UAE, Dubai is kind of like a place where people around the world meet. Like,
Yes.
and so I got the connection from there. And I mean, I, uh, I got the networking there, but then I suddenly have people in Minneapolis, in India, in Singapore,
Right.
all around the world, where I'm then invited to speak or to collaborate with the people. I mean, it's super exciting. I'm currently actually not living there. I'm still here currently in Cologne, Germany, but I hope to move there until the end of this year.
Awesome. And I could very much say, I've seen your visibility and profile, and the noticeability of your projects, rapidly grow over the past few months. So when investors are starting to get into this space and they're trying to understand a lot of this subject matter, what are the most common questions you get from people, whether this is in the UAE, whether this is in Cologne, or just anywhere else at other speaking events you do?
Well, it depends who is the vis-a-vis who is asking it. I
Sure.
mean, what where you sit is what you say is where you sit or something like that's the saying.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
Uh,
Yeah.
but let's say usual people are more like, okay, what is blockchain?
Yes.
What is it? And how can it help in my industry? Or how does it, could this be applied in my company?
Yes.
How, what can it do? What does it help? How does it make processes much more effective, efficient, and secure? And then I can discover it with them, or I already know some of the things, how it can help.
Right.
And then I mean, investors are looking for the best investment opportunities,
Yes.
and they say if I have any suggestions, and I mean, there are others. They are asking how can we collaborate together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so potential business partners who are something doing in the space, yeah, and try to expand their venture. And I also
Yeah.
just want to say shout out to Ronnie Goodman there in the
Oh yeah.
audience. Hello, Ronnie, one of the big supporters. And I mean, what are you when you're just alone? You
Right.
are uh, only. I mean, only with the help and support of others, and
Right.
with trust and, let's say, open heart, love, and support of
Right.
others, the things that you do in life can actually expand, or it's like a vibration which goes
Yes.
from one place to, can
Yeah.
spread all over the world. You know, me alone, it's kind of like it's something, but at the end, it's nothing when it's not being applied, or when nobody's being or has no interest in it. So, and that's
Yeah.
why I really appreciate seeing several familiar faces in the audience.
Oh yes, yes, and there's certainly many comments here, really celebrating this episode, and especially celebrating what you do as well. And speaking of which, do you feel that your background as a professional musician has perhaps prepared you in any way, for this, for these successes in Web3? Because I can at least say this: it certainly is a space that does attract a lot of very creative, out of the box type thinkers.
I mean, the first thought that came into my mind was like, I learned to play jazz, and in jazz music, first of all, it's a very mathematical music.
Oh yeah.
Secondly, you have to know how to improvise. You need to make quick decisions. You need to make or be flexible, hyper flexible, and
Right.
reach a certain level of virtuosity. Is that a word?
Yeah. Yeah, virtuosity, yeah.
And to be flexible and to adapt to new innovations and technologies, I think this is one of the necessary things to also be successful in the space. The second thing that I learned for the last decade was being on stage and to speak.
Yes.
I mean, at the end, I didn't consider myself as a musician, but as an entertainer. And I was like musically entertaining the people
Sure.
so far, less speaking, more singing, and definitely not singing around blockchain technology.
Right.
But and also when I was speaking, I was speaking rather in German. But in general, having the knowledge or know how to, let's say, perform how to be on stage, how to
Yeah.
entertain people, even with like the blockchain knowledge, how to set things up. I think this is, yeah, what I learned for over a decade. This is really helping me, definitely in the space where mostly people are that are more like developers, who are absolutely not that used to be on stage.
Sure.
And it, I mean, stage performance, you can use it in any, or to being able to do presentations and so forth. I mean, it's to some extent, I definitely need to improve my English, but for non-English speakers, it's good enough, let's say.
Sure.
And I mean, but still to explain all these blockchain related topics, it's when you were asking beforehand what people are asking, they are asked so many things around how does it work, how are these things, can you explain this and this better, and finding the words and then also improvise, okay, how to explain this in a different way and in a different way to look from a different angle and so forth. It makes you so flexible with the experience, responding to these questions. This is a wonderful, I mean, development. What else in the space? I mean, web, yeah, to adapt fast. I mean, the openness, and also in general, what I also have, where I also have the vision how the music space will profit from these technologies like blockchain, smart contracts, and from the new world of Web3, is that they're getting paid much better, in a better way, in a
Sure.
much um, you know, fair way, let's say.
Right.
Currently, there are people, musicians, creating wonderful music, putting so much effort in it, so much money. Then they put it on Spotify. This music is heard a couple of million times, and they get like $20 out of it.
Right. Yeah. Something like that.
So, so now with the new world, with the new technology, what at least what is theoretically possible is that if someone listens to that music, there's a immediate, constant micropayment stream from a non-custodial wallet to the non-custodial wallet of this musician. Even it can be split between these different musicians who has some certain percentages and take on
Right.
that song. And this is immediate. There's no third party like Spotify or something
Right.
needed in between. The people maybe pay a cent, but when millions of people listen to a song, the music, the artist will receive so much more money than they would have received from Spotify or YouTube and so forth. So it will not only change the life of professional musicians, but also from everyone around the world who is sharing data on the internet, who is creating content like this here, um, where when let's say interactions are taking place, when someone is consuming some form of data on the internet, the one who created this content will profit from it immediately.
Right. Very well
So this is
said. Yes.
a game changer. This is a game changer.
And I think in part you answered my follow-up question as far as how do you think blockchain would change the music industry? Because I think what we have seen with the art industry, for instance, artists in many ways may have an easier time to promote their art and make money. You're not in a position where you have to rely on a gallery, and then in turn deal with other barriers of entry as well. If you're an artist and let's say you have a collection, you can hit the ground floor running immediately, so to say, and you can get an audience, relatively quickly as well. And for people that I know that play professionally, and let's say they're in a contract or an agreement with a label, um, it is a very very difficult journey for a lot of musicians to really make the money that is, let's say, consistent with the quality of their work. And in fact, many of those, the marketing and distribution costs and all this is all put on the musician's plate first, almost like a giant loan, essentially. And you have to really rely on almost like percentages, based on, I guess you could say, the net sales to even pay all that back. So it's kind of like you're at the whims of a record company, and in order to pay them back, it almost depends on how good of a record company they are too, so to say. So I think it's kind of, if you're partnered with a record company and let's say, they're doing the marketing and distribution of your work, and let's say if they do a bad job, you still have to pay them back, so to say. So, some of those things, I think are great problems that have to be, resolved. So I kind of wanted to know your thoughts about that.
I mean, it makes musicians much more independent from these third parties, big players.
Right.
I mean, when musicians wanted to bring out like their album, their LP or something,
Yeah.
they always needed like an agency or something, like a
Right.
label to bring it out, to distribute the music to all these stores or platforms, whatever. And now it's not needed anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not in the interest of many labels or
Right.
book. Is it book houses or something? How's it called? I mean, this will change the industry. Like the industry got changed through through Napster or
Right.
Kazaa
Yeah.
or something. The whole
Oh yeah, I
industry
remember that.
changed
Yeah.
completely,
Late '90s, early
and
2000s. Just yeah, it
yeah,
was a wild west of downloading music.
yeah, and now I think it will change in the next couple of years, I mean, the industry will try to defend. I mean, these big players like Spotify, like YouTube, will try to defend their space.
Right.
I mean, it's on one side the monetization of the content. Um, for example, I know some artists, some musicians, some vloggers in the space who they were having a monetized channel on YouTube, and then
Yes.
they started doing also using the content on a blockchain-based platform
Yeah.
where they get paid per stream, or like immediately when someone's streaming, it's also a micropayment stream into the non-custodial wallet. And
Right.
when YouTube found this out, then they demonetized the YouTube channel.
Oh
So
wow.
that's how they actually try to prevent like these bigger YouTubers or whatever,
Right.
switching the sites to
Yeah.
more decentralized, to more decentralized platforms where they are fair, fair paid, let's say, at the end.
Right.
Um, well, the problem is everyone is using YouTube. And if the player is then, or the vlogger is changing the platform, how many people is he able to drag with him to another platform where they are paying a cent per view or whatever?
Right.
Um, this is, a very, not an easy thing.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end, what Web3 is bringing, not only the monetization of the content, but also the power over the content, who has access. Currently, um, like all these, they're centralized big players in the world. Google, Meta. I mean, YouTube's also part of Google,
Yeah.
and who else? Let's say some of these big social media platforms, they are all using your data. They are profiting from it. You don't know what they are actually doing with your data.
Right.
I mean, also you have a Gmail account. All your emails are getting analyzed.
Yeah.
I think Google or also Amazon, Amazon, one of the other big players, they know before me if I was pregnant, because of my what the things that I'm searching. They know it
Oh right. Yeah.
before
Use your search history. Yeah.
because of like AI and so forth. So
Right.
they know, yeah. So insane things what they know about me without me giving the consent actually to do such things. But this, first of all, the power over the data will change. Uh, I mean, I can then give the power to the people that I want that are using my data. And
Right.
if they are using my data, I can set it up in a way that I'm getting paid for it, at least, that I profit from it. Okay, Amazon can analyze my data and see for me if I'm pregnant or not,
Right.
but I
Right.
want to get paid for it.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
absolutely. And when it comes to music, do you think record companies are scared, based on what is coming out in Web3? Because I would imagine they're going to have to change their entire business model in the near future, so to say. And I would imagine too they're going to have to distinguish themselves as far as what they can actually do for artists, because it seems like a lot of the traditional things that record companies would do, you can do it, I can do it, now, for myself. And I don't play professionally. I'm actually relatively new at my electric guitar, but I can create cover art, for instance, distribution done. There's apps for that. Marketing done. I could do that as well. If I want to do a concert, I could technically do one on the metaverse right now, so to say.
Yeah, I mean every change, and when you have to adapt, and when you're about to lose what you have,
Yeah.
it's scary, you know. It's I think it's not easy. It's not an easy process for um, no industry out there, no for no company.
Right.
It's otherwise it's maybe aware, a conscious decision that you want to disrupt your own industry.
Yeah.
The question, I mean, how can they still participate? What is the actual, I mean, benefit for an artist going over a label, an agency?
Yeah.
And what I would consider, I mean, in when an artist is dealing with microtransaction, you can create like these use smart contracts to
Yeah.
uh, to distribute the revenue in
Right.
certain shares. And what I imagine, like very spontaneously, is the artist still wants to have options to use marketing, to use other services in the space.
Right.
And let's say instead of paying a marketer a certain amount, a monthly amount to market my or promote my content, I give him the opportunity to make shares if someone actually uses or goes through his promotions and actually then consumes my content.
Right.
And the traceability can also be provided through the blockchain technology. And everyone is getting paid fairly for actually providing, let's say, a wonderful service. When the marketer does a good job and creates, let's say, an advertisement and someone's clicking on it,
Right.
then through the smart contract, there's like an immediate distribution of the revenue created through the one who clicked on this advertisement. So
Right.
it's in the interest. I mean, when you talk about micropayments, saying, "Oh, this is only a fraction of a cent,"
Right.
but imagine this every day for a couple of million times. I mean, for example, in the global carrier and telecommunication industry, there are use cases with, let's say, 210 million transactions per day. And I think in the music business, there will also be, in many cases, if you have many artists and you do the promotion and the people are clicking on certain advertisement and you get a fraction of a penny,
Yes.
this is already, let's say, $37,000 per day that I can
Right.
make with a fraction of a cent, you know?
Yes.
Uh, if it's like, yeah, many million times. And I would like to have like these 37 million, oh no, so it's 37,000 US dollar per day,
Right.
uh, which is might be better than someone paying me per month a certain amount to create a marketing
Good
campaign.
point.
But I don't care if it at the end works or not, you know, because I'm not participating at the success at the end. But
Right.
now, if I do a good job, I'm getting paid accordingly, you know, and know they cannot surround me or something.
Right.
So if there are chances, I mean, many people will lose with the upcoming, and the big players might be losing at some to some extent. But at the end, it also offers new opportunities to everyone around the world.
Yeah, and I would imagine too, especially when it comes to artists and musicians, one of the most important things is owning the rights of your song, owning the rights of your album. Because often I think, once these contracts are completed with companies, they still own essentially your intellectual property, and they can do as they please down the line. And I think throughout history, you often see many artists actually trying to buy the rights to their, music and buy the rights to their albums back. So I would imagine at least now with if with an immutable ledger over a blockchain, it has to be easier to negotiate you know, as far as getting the rights to your music or getting the rights to your, album back. Because I think often, if you're an artist and you're negotiating with a record company, they're in some ways in a better position to negotiate. They probably have a very large legal team, and they could probably pull out all different types of stuff. And I think with the immutable ledger, you can pull out that information yourself almost immediately without too much effort. So I feel that's a very, very promising thing. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what type of artists and musicians come out of this space over the next few years. And if we could backtrack a little bit, what do you have in store this year for blockXspace? What are some of the goals and some of the projects you and your team hope to accomplish?
Well, there are some negotiations going on with different clients, and one of the goals is definitely closing these deals. But what is also important is to actually create a very good basis in a strategy and accordingly good contracts good
Yes.
contracts with partners, with the clients, with everyone involved. Because I noticed not having good contracts, agreements, might
Yeah.
always to different problems. And
Right.
for example, I mean, dealing with partners or in general, let's say the industry, it's like a jungle, and
Can imagine.
and people start acting like uh, like animals, and
Yeah.
to some extent, when money is involved. So
For sure.
people are losing their mind even when a little, some sort of little money is involved, not like millions and
Right.
millions. No. I mean, thinking of Celsius app. I
Yes.
mean, Alex Menchinsky, or what's his name? Uh,
Oh, yeah.
I wonder, okay, I think he must have seen what's coming already months beforehand, but he still had
Yeah.
the guts to go to events and promote Celsius and so forth.
Right.
Uh, but I think he might have profited with hundreds of millions, maybe even billions. And
Yeah.
then he didn't care at the end. There's like the ethics, the humanity is getting lost. Is being lost when money is involved to some extent. And I think
Right.
uh, if you are creating good contracts to prevent um, or to at least try to prevent any malicious behavior, I think this is very much needed. But
Yeah.
what I notice, it's not easy. And there I'm actually in contact with different strategists to then set these things up very well. And
Yes.
setting up like this very healthy basis, this is what I do within the next couple of months. Also, then checking out different partners. I mean, it's not only what the partners can do from the development side. For
Right.
example, as like blockSpace is agnostic, so we are not only working with with a specific blockchain technology, but we are open to what the client actually wants,
Right.
and we can provide the consultancy, the expertise around these technologies, and also give different views on the
Yeah.
technology. But at the end, if the client says, "Okay, we want to build on this and this certain technology," okay, then I have the specific teams. But what I also notice is not only the expertise in development that the people are providing, but also being able to communicate. And
Yes.
if someone is very good and develop specific wallets, for example, but it's not, the client sends me a message
Yes.
and I need to know something from this developer, and the developer is not responding within a week or 2 weeks. I cannot do any business with him, even if he's a very, very good developer. So,
Right.
I mean, this is the same thing what I did in my musical career. That I mean, at the beginning, I wanted to when I found out which space is providing, let's say, uh, very good money, let's say, where are
Right.
the good paid, well paid jobs. I tried to
Yes.
set up a specific band to do these jobs, and I asked really the top musicians in the space to play with me to do these jobs. And they wanted to play and do these jobs with me. But I mean, musically, perfect, wonderful.
Yeah.
But then it started like, um, so people are paying a lot of money that we
Yeah.
play at their event, and
Yes.
then these musicians come with a non-ironed like shirt or something,
Yes.
or with like red socks or something, or like kind of like uh, dirty clothes, and it doesn't fit to the event. You know, the people are. It's like a form of respect to being
Yes.
dressed in a good manner.
Right.
So that's one thing. Second thing is that I have a gig request, and or a request from. I mean, it can be similar. It's absolutely the same principle.
Yeah.
Um, there's a client wants to have makes a request. Can we do this? Do we have time? Do we? How much does it cost? And I
Yes.
need to know. Do I have the resources to actually do these things? So, for example, then with the music business, I ask the musician, do you have time at that certain date, and so forth, uh, and then there's no response from the musician for a couple of days,
Right.
and then in the meantime the client already found someone else who can play at this concert, let's say,
Yeah.
or do these things. So a very fast, clear, um, transparent, let's say, all open, honest communication is so important for a properly working business. So, and that's also what you will, or what I will find out in the process. And there are also, I mean, good contracts have to be made where certain things are then um, cleared up beforehand, that they have to respond in a certain amount of time, or and so forth. And this is all a part of uh, creating a proper working business. And this is, I mean, this all these things have to be taken care of, and this is a part of the strategy which is being built.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I can at least say, I think one of the promising things about this space too is you know, uh, the benefit and the promise of smart contracts. Literally, we have, computer coding, based off of Solidity on the EVM, the Ethereum virtual machine, where you don't have to per se, let's say, rely on a court to enforce a contract. The coding in these contracts are going to execute themselves, once the, conditions are made. So, you don't have to go and make your attorney richer. By the way, can you call essentially my adversary and make sure that they, remit, the royalties for this, or, or something like that. I think the genuine promise is that these things can more or less take care of themselves if, written and coded, properly as well. I'm very, very optimistic, for what's coming up over the coming years, so to say. So I wanted to say, Micah, it was an absolute pleasure having you on the show today to talk about your project, your company, blockXspace, and by the way, also articulating, the nuances of the music industry and how that's going to play into, various roles and, I guess you could say the evolution of the music industry, in, you could say this fourth industrial revolution and, in the entire, Web3 context. And I really do feel that giving more power more tools for the artist to use. We may end up having, let's say, another golden era or golden age of, let's say, musical artists and artists in general, because they have more resources to use now. Now, I think often, I hear about this, and I think almost every generation says this. Like, oh, there's like so much, so much bad music out there, and and things like that, and it kind of makes me wonder. I think in any era, there's many great artists out there, and I think the practical realities of things, most of the time, most people won't get to hear it, and it could be an issue of opportunity, funding, luck, and really just the way, I guess, where the industry is at now. So with let's say Web3 allowing more and more musicians to have resources, I think we as like the public will have the benefit to hear and see many great artists, many great musicians where perhaps in years before we couldn't really enjoy or see, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's many universes of wonderful music out there, and
Yes.
some of them are getting like so little views.
Right.
But but at least I think with the new technology and when you use your even your little personal network and people are spending a couple of cents, it's more that they at least will receive more appreciation and monetarily and let's see how it will be in the future.
Yes. And on a final note, since you do regularly speak at summits and conferences, which ones will you be speaking at coming up? So perhaps we can get more eyes and viewership on some of these events that you're speaking at.
Yeah, I mean the next events will be different podcasts again, live
Yes.
interviews, and I will be in Uganda upcoming month,
Wow. Very
and
nice.
there there are different events taking place. I think also some of them they will be live streamed. Then in September I will speak at the Reset event in London. There's
Okay. Yeah.
there's in like blockchain and tourism, and I will have a keynote speech. Then there's another event in then there's one in Singapore. Then there are three events that I'm speaking in Dubai again. I don't know the names actually. I will always post them on my LinkedIn, so always
Sure.
follow my LinkedIn,
Sure. Please
and
post them. I'll
I
be
will
sure to
post there.
share as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this was a great episode, and this was a nice little deep dive into Web3 and the music industry. And I hope everybody enjoyed today's episode. So again, Micah, thank you very much for coming on. This is very exciting. Yes.
Yeah, I also want to make a shout out. So if you didn't do it yet, please. Oh, also Chatty is there. So Chatty, also everyone else in the stream listening currently, go and hit the follow, like, and subscribe button to
That's right.
Crypto with English. Are you also? Do you have like a YouTube channel as well? Also, or
Yes,
are you
yeah,
only LinkedIn?
I have a YouTube channel, and I believe it is paired to each episode. So yes, please like, subscribe, and follow. I really should be saying that tagline a little bit
Yeah.
more often.
Hit the like
Yes,
button, hit the subscribe button,
that's right.
put the bell on, the notification bell,
Yeah, the
and
notifications
Chatty,
alert. Yeah,
Chatty is from Grey Wolf, maybe also another interesting session partner, as well as Dhirendra Shukla from Grey Wolf, like a crypto analytics forensic tool platform. He's from Canada, and we have a viewer from Norway, John F.
oh yes,
Zipaljung.
John
Okay,
F.
that's
Sipyoung. Well, thank you for
don't know
tuning in,
yet.
John. And Shetty, nice to meet you as well.
So everyone, kiss to you.
That's
Greetings
right.
from Germany. Hit the bell, hit the subscribe button, hit the all thumbs up, and hope to talk with you another time.
Oh yes, yes, and I'm looking forward to our next episode, and we'll pick up from here.
All
All right.
right.
Take care, Micah. And everybody, thank you very much for tuning in and thank you for the comments. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Until next time.